In 1444, Africa is not a forgotten land. It is not a silent continent waiting for discovery. It is a land alive with power, ambition, trade, and faith. To the west, the mighty Mali Empire, once the wealthiest kingdom on earth, is beginning to weaken. Once its kings controlled rivers of gold. Once its rulers commanded armies so vast they seemed unstoppable. But now Mali's strength is crumbling. Its trade routes are slipping away, its provinces restless, its neighbors ambitious. Yet, Africa in 1444 is not a continent of decline. It is a continent of transition, where one empire fades, another prepares to rise. Where kingdoms struggle, others gather strength. This is Africa before the storm of Europe's arrival. Proud, powerful, and restless. For centuries, Mali was the jewel of West Africa. Its cities, Timbuktu, Gao, Niani, were centers of trade and learning. Its kings, the Mansas, were legends across the Sahara. Stories of Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca had stunned the Islamic world. Gold from Mali had flooded markets as far away as Cairo, Tunis, and even Venice. But greatness is fragile. By 1444, Mali's golden age had passed. Rebellions chipped away at its borders. Songhai and Mossi raiders struck at its trade routes. The caravans that once paid tribute to Mali now sought safer paths. Mali was still rich, still powerful, but its crown was heavy, and cracks were spreading through the empire's foundation. To the east of Mali, the Songhai people watched. For centuries, Songhai had been Mali's vassal, paying tribute and waiting in the shadows. But now, their time had come. Their capital, Gao, lay on the banks of the Niger River, a lifeline of trade and fertility. Gao's rulers dreamed of empire. They knew that whoever controlled Timbuktu and Jenne controlled the flow of gold, salt, and knowledge across the Sahara. Songhai's armies trained with discipline. Its rulers, like Sunni Ali, would soon prove ruthless conquerors. And as Mali weakened, Songhai grew bolder. Before long, the Niger would no longer be Mali's lifeline, but Songhai's throne. Far from West Africa, in the highlands of Ethiopia, another story unfolds. The Solomonic dynasty, claiming descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, ruled one of the oldest Christian empires in the world. In 1444, Emperor Zara Yaqub sat upon the throne. He was a man of faith, intelligence, and vision. Under his rule, Ethiopia strengthened its churches, built fortresses, and defended its land from outside threats. But Ethiopia was surrounded by danger. Muslim sultanates pressed from the north. Raiders and rival tribes tested its borders. And in the distance, whispers of Ottoman expansion and Portuguese exploration loomed. Ethiopia was strong, but like all kingdoms, it lived under constant pressure. Its survival depended not only on its armies, but on the faith and resilience of its people. In North Africa, the Maghreb was fractured. Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia were lands of trade and turmoil. Great cities like Fez, Marrakesh, and Tunis thrived with scholars, merchants, and artisans. But politically, the region was weak, its rulers divided, its people restless. Yet from chaos comes strength. In Morocco, dynasties like the Wattasids and Saadians would emerge, rallying their people against both internal collapse and external threats. These future rulers would unite Morocco and even dare to march south into the desert to clash with Songhai itself. The Maghreb was a crossroads of civilizations, Arab, Berber, African and European. Whoever controlled it would control not only trade with Africa, but the very gate to the Mediterranean East. Of Songhai lay the Hausa city-states, Kano, Katsina, Zazao, and others. These cities were vibrant hubs of commerce and culture. Kano's leather was famed across Africa. Katsina's scholars and merchants attracted visitors from across the Sahara. Zazao's warriors defended its markets and expanded its influence. But the Hausa states had one fatal flaw: disunity. Each city competed with the others. Each ruler jealously guarded their power. Together, they might have formed an empire to rival Songhai. But divided, they remained vulnerable. And in centuries to come, this weakness would open the door to conquest, first by neighboring empires and later by outsiders. Further south, in the forests and plains of what is now Nigeria, the Yoruba kingdoms flourished. Among them, the Oyo Empire was gathering strength. Known for its mastery of cavalry warfare, Oyo's armies thundered across the plains, disciplined and feared. Oyo's rulers combined divine authority with military power. They were kings and warriors, priests and conquerors. Their influence would stretch far into Benin, Dahomey, and beyond. This was a land of rich culture, magnificent bronzes, and powerful kings. A land where tradition and warfare blended to forge one of West Africa's greatest powers. Across the continent, Africa in 1444 was not still. It was in motion. In Timbuktu, scholars filled libraries with thousands of manuscripts on science, law, and astronomy. Across the Sahara, caravans stretched for miles, carrying salt from the desert, gold from the rivers, and slaves from the hinterlands. Kingdoms rose, fell, and rose again. Empires clashed in deserts and forests. Faith guided rulers and justified wars. Islam in the north and west, Christianity in the highlands of Ethiopia, traditional religions in the forests and savannas. This was a continent alive with ideas, faiths, and ambitions. A continent not waiting to be found, but already writing its own history. But far away, beyond the horizon, a storm gathered. European explorers had begun to sail further down Africa's coasts. The Portuguese were already in the Gulf of Guinea, building trading posts, forging alliances, and taking captives. The old trade routes of the Sahara would soon be rivaled by new routes across the sea. Trade would no longer be only gold, salt, and slaves carried by camel, but cannon, muskets, and ships carried by wind and wave. The balance of power in Africa was about to change forever. Africa in 1444 was a continent of empires. Mali fading, Songhai rising, Ethiopia thriving, Oyo awakening. A land of kings, warriors, scholars, and merchants. In the centuries to come, there would be glory and tragedy, victories and betrayals, the rise of new empires, the coming of foreign powers, the clash of faiths, and the reshaping of the continent. But in this moment, before the storm of Europe, before the age of conquest and colonization, Africa stood tall, alive, powerful, and proud.
Please follow for more, like, comment, and subscribe.